of her very being. I can never betray her, no matter what might happen. Ranni, she needs me.
What if I told you that it's because of our action as the Tarnished that our cherished friend Blaidd had to meet the tragic fate that he did? Being one of the few friendly NPC characters that feels truly a part of our journey as the Tarnished, it's a heart-wrenching experience to witness Blaidd charge at us at the footsteps to Ranni's tower. It can feel like there are many questions unanswered, but through deeper investigation of the witch that may guide us on our path to becoming Elden Lord, we find just how this hero's fate came to be. Welcome to Figuring Out Fantasy, where we'll be taking a look at Blaidd, the half-wolf from Ranni's questline in Elden Ring, and understanding the reason why he comes to lash out against those he once deemed his closest allies in one of the most tragic plots to a questline in any game out there. If you have some thoughts, be sure to leave them in a comment, and if you want, you could even hit subscribe to make this silly little bar just a bit bigger. Ranni the Witch is a character that nearly every player traversing the Lands Between has run into at some point. Even all the way back in the trailer to the game, we were given hints that she was going to be an influential force in Elden Ring. She's recognized early on as we meet her at the Church of Ela, where she's adored in her generous bestowing of the summoning bell to the Tarnished. Though if you exhaust her dialogue, she brings up a quick note concerning just how long we will put up with obeisance from the Two Fingers. This upfront means nothing to us as we're still fresh in our adventure to become Elden Lord. But what it actually alludes to involves numerous different complex characters and motivations, each with their own unique attachments to us as the Tarnished. The first you're likely to encounter is a half-man, half-wolf by the name of Blaidd, who becomes one of our favorite allies as we continue through the beginning portions of the game. A broad stance and imposing nature grant Blaidd innate respect from the player, considering just how unfamiliar the Lands Between are. He even assists us in conquering one of our first ever jail experiences, proving to us that he fights for a righteous cause and is undyingly loyal to those he deems friends or even family in some cases. Blaidd has a history with the previously met Ranni the Witch, who is later discovered as Ranni, and is proven to have quite the track record with the Two Fingers that she brought up at the Church of Ela. Ranni the Witch was born an Empyrean. As a daughter of Radagon and Rennala, she was deemed capable of growing to be a successor to Queen Marika the Eternal. In this qualification, was blessed by the Two Fingers. In this quest, she was granted a shadow, one to accompany her in her endeavors and protect her from any harm that would come her way. This shadow, we come to learn, is the heroic Blaidd, though this seemingly prestigious responsibility is shrouded in lies, misdirection, and inevitable madness. On our path towards Ranni's rise to finally converse with the witch, we come across the smithing master Iji. This peaceful being was once a blacksmith for the Carian royals. After being dismissed of his position, he refused to retire his rusty hammer, and continues practicing his trade under the fellowship of Ranni and the rest within the Rise. Meeting Iji gives us the same sort of comfort that being around Blaidd offered. With how much confusion of who is friend or foe within the Lands Between, it's a nice change of pace to come across such capable characters that aren't threatening in nature. Congregating with the members of the Rise, we learn of further tasks that we are to complete if we wish to follow the Empyrean down her ambitious path of rejecting her title. Ranni requests that we travel to the ancient city of Nokron and claim the legendary treasure that rests within. But what does she want this item for? During the Night of Black Knives, we know that Godwyn was victim to the Rune of Death, but he was not the only one. As we discover atop Ranni's divine tower, there are no Two Fingers surrounding a great rune. Instead, there is a lifeless body adorning a half of the curse mark of death. This off-putting item reads, "This curse mark was carved at the moment of death of the first demigod, and should have taken the shape of a circle. However, 2 demigods perished at the same time, breaking the curse mark into 2 half-wheels. Ranni was the first of the demigods whose flesh perished, while the Prince of Death perished in soul alone. This was Ranni's first steps in betraying her 2 fingers, as the tragic event was an intentional occurrence on her end. Stealing a piece of the Rune of Death from Malekith and imbuing a legion of assassins with black flame, she enacted the Night of Black Knives and took her physical body from the 2 fingers. This was her initial action towards betraying the Outer Gods. But one might ask, how do we see Ranni atop her rise in northern Liurnia? As mentioned in the Curse Mark of Death, Ranni was blessed in dying in body alone, and with her soul left behind, she provides sentience to a doll resembling her mentor, Ranni the Witch. hence why she introduces herself as such when we first meet at the Church of Ella. This is who we meet atop Ranni's rise as well, and although she was able to adopt another physical form, she explains how she isn't able to fulfill her quest in her current situation and needs to recruit the Tarnished. But what about Blaidd? The half-wolf's involvement at this point in Ranni's ancient storyline is tragic to say the least. As Ranni's shadow in all of this, Blaidd is in a rather odd situation, as there are many contingencies to the granting of a shadow to the Empyrean from the Outer Gods. The pursuit of the shadow in the first place, as touched on earlier, is to assist in the pursuit of the Empyrean's destiny to replace the eternal Queen Marika. But there's a catch. Explained to us by the War Counselor E.G., a shadow, if in their assignment of protecting their Empyrean, were to witness them betray the Outer Gods, they would lose their only purpose in existing and be driven to madness. E.G. is obviously privy to this tragic fate for his treasured ally, and chooses to seal him away inside an Everjail in an attempt to spare him of the seemingly inevitable fate he's subjected to after Ranni makes further moves in her devious plot. And Blaidd isn't just simply a guardian for Ranni either. The assignment of the title of Empyrean is granted at birth, and therefore their shadow is granted to them in the same instance, of the same stage of childhood. So Blaidd grew up to see Ranni as his sister, somebody to love and protect beyond his duties as a shadow. He proves his undying loyalty to Ranni time and time again, even back in the aforementioned Everjail where he can be summoned to assist us. Darrowil the Bloodhound Knight is talked about by Blaidd as nothing but a traitor, and in need of a fitting end to his tale, giving the impression that this boss may have served Ranni once upon a time and abandoned the cause. Blaidd even takes up arms with you in an epic battle versus General Radahn, as this demigod is the reason why Ranni was halted in her quest in the first place. He was holding back the stars which were guiding her towards her destiny in the city of Nokron. Your involvement as the Tarnished seems to be an outside-in perspective, where we're witnessing in awe as Ranni diverts her path in replacing Queen Marika and becoming a god. But in reality, we are the enablers for Ranni to continue down this path and further drive Blaidd to madness. From the moment she enacted the Knight of Black Knives, Ranni was seemingly looking for reasons to put Blaidd on the back burner, as she knew what the result would be on his end of the endeavor. As we prove more and more capable to Ranni, she entrusts escalating degrees of requests with us, even noting our prowess in collecting the Fingerslayer blade from Nokron as being surprising since she had expected Blaidd to be the one to recover it. This progressively grows into the almighty request of pursuing the Age of Stars with her, and in the end, being at her side as Elden Lord. I feel though that if many knew the consequences in assisting Ranni towards her ultimate goal, there would be an even larger pit of despair after we take the final steps in the questline. As we approach the end of Nokstella, Ranni requests that we defeat the baleful shadow nearby that's being sent after her. Baleful shadows as a concept are assassins imbued with destined death sent after Ranni by the Two Fingers in their attempt to thwart the betrayal of the Outer Gods. This baleful shadow we're asked to defeat sends an immediate chill down our spine once we're invaded, as it seems to be Blaidd himself. Though this blade dons destined death instead of the familiar frost damage we so notably identify with the half-wolf, and can breathe a sigh of relief in confirming that killing our opponent won't have consequence. Or will it? After defeating this encounter, the player then travels across the Lake of Rot and towards the terrifying Estelle, natural born of the Void, whose defeat opens up a path which leads to Ranni's slain Two Fingers, with her doll sitting elegantly upon their bloody corpse. After placing the ring upon her finger, the full embodiment of Ranni the Witch comes to us in spirit, and names us her consort before she travels up to the stars in anticipation of us defeating Radagon at the base of the Erd Tree. Back when we defeated the baleful shadow impersonating Blaidd, Ranni had a notable piece of dialogue.
Beautifully fought. My thanks. 'Twas more of a challenge than I envisioned. Now I can finally stand before them. This is farewell, my dear. Tell Blaidd and E.G. I love them.
Our fulfillment in allowing the Empyrean to shred her title granted to her by the Outer Gods was certainly not without consequence, as these same baleful shadows wouldn't stop at simply going after Ranni. Upon returning to the Three Sisters in Ranni's rise, we find a path of Black Knife assassins leading to our dear ally and cherished friend Blaidd. Ranni's once shadow kneels before many of these slain assassins as he mutters his heartbreaking last words before engaging with the Tarnished in a fit of madness.
No. I'm part of her very being. I can never betray her. No matter what might happen. Ranni. She needs me.
He attacks us as he has no more purpose. His creation was for Ranni's pursuit of godhood and nothing else. Shadows are destined to succumb to this fate if this scenario were to ever come to fruition, and through our help as the Tarnished, these requirements are met. Blaidd fought through each and every notion to rebel against the outer gods that he may have sensed from Ranni, or he may not have even sensed any wrongdoing whatsoever, as he was there for each and every task until he is driven to madness. This failsafe installed by the Two Fingers must have been implemented so that if the Empyrean were to fight back against the outer gods, their initial consort wouldn't be there to continue their pursuit of an altered timeline. Regardless of the context known by the player, it's never easy to deal that finishing blow to Blaidd. But wielding his mighty greatsword in his honor may just be enough to feel a bit better about it. Then again, revisiting EG brings us right back down to earth. In typical Fromsoft fashion, no quest can end in a happy note. If you made it till the end, thanks for watching. Like I said, if you have some thoughts, make sure to comment them below. I read and reply to as many comments as I can, as it's one of the most enjoyable parts about making videos.